This is the Norinco TT-Olympia. It is a Chinese clone of the 1936 Walther Olympia, specifically the Jaeger variant. It is a 22 long rifle gun with a fixed barrel and a hammer-covered slide. It comes with plastic grip panels that are molded for the right hand, which is incredibly comfortable to hold. It is a very one-handable pistol, something that is not necessarily designed for these days, but it's incredibly comfortable. Left-handed, honestly, it's a doable. Like, you do have a decent rest, but you don't want to have to do it. And two-handed works fine, but if you're holding it like you would a standard pistol with your thumbs as high up as it can be, the slide will get caught here. And on its way back, it might get stuck. So you keep your thumb rested on here and point. Now this one, I've put a little bit of white nail polish on the front because these sights are incredibly small, and black rear, black front, it's super hard to distinguish when you're aiming. There's not a lot of light in between the front and rear sight and the notch, so it's basically just a solid line. That's not that great to work with. Now, these magazines are 8 rounds, and they kind of suck. This follower is really small, so you have to dig your nail in or wear a glove, because otherwise it chafes on your thumb if you just try and use your thumb to pull it down. They also can get stuck, the 22 rounds, when you're loading. So you put it in, it'll get stuck, but at the back here, around the rim of the 22, it'll get stuck in a weird position, and then it'll prevent the rest from pushing forward. It's very strange. Doesn't really happen when you're shooting. It only happens when you're loading. So long as you're careful when you're loading, you're not just dropping them in, mags should work just fine. They do have this little extension plate, which allows them to be flush fit at the bottom, provide a little extra grip. Now, as you could see from that, they're not exactly smooth going in. You have to kind of hit them to make them go in, and that's with the magazine or the slide open as well. You have to push it in. Now, the slide release is this tiny little button. You will not be doing mag changes on the fly with this thing. You gotta press it in and pull out. Sometimes they'll drop free, but yeah, it's pretty finicky. Your safety selector is this. S is for shoot. F is for I don't know. But that's here. Close the chamber. Can't pull the trigger on F, but on S, which you might think is for shoot or safety or safe, rather, is actually for shoot. And F, which should be for fire, is for safety. I don't know. Maybe mine is backwards. Maybe it's. I'm not gonna lie. That is quite strange. But the trigger is very light. It's a single action only, hammer fired, which I'll show in a second. But it is so light and crisp. It's got to be like 3 pounds, 3.5 max. Got to be. Now, to take it apart, pull down on this. You can push it off to the side a little bit. Pull back on the slide, lift up, pull forward. Here, you can see the hammer, and it's a pretty simple design. This is the slide catch, It only operates when there's a magazine in, as you can see. These might get stuck. And if you want to activate with the slide, you have to do like I did earlier. You have to lift it up a bit. Fixed barrel. Got the single recoil spring here. Now, slide is pretty basic. It's just a place for the hammer to come forward and hit the firing pin and then hit your rim. It's a very, very, very simple design. You got some slide serrations, so that's nice. Norinco logo and the name. Now it does also come, I can't find it, but it comes with a heavy plate. I'll put a picture up on screen. Basically, it adds weight to the bottom of it, screws into these threads, so that when you're shooting single-handed, it's even steadier. And this thing already doesn't really recoil much at all. I mean, it's a 22 and it handles recoil better than my GSG 1911. But, man, works. It does work. It's just you can't two-hand it with it. When it's here, it's quite large, so you can't two-hand. I would say the two-handing and the single hand with this is actually about the same recoil. So I guess it depends what you want to do. I don't know if this exists. I really kind of want it to. But someone could totally design and machine a mounting plate for a red dot that just comes across from the top, kind of like the pick rail ones you see on 1911s and stuff like that. I think you could do that with this. Just get a... I don't know enough about modeling stuff, so I don't have any machines, so I can't do it. But if someone were to be able to do that, you could have yourself a really cool, cheap, budget, optic-friendly handgun. This was $200. You can't buy them in Canada anymore. But I believe you can still get them in the US. I'm pretty sure they're fairly cheap. But it is, if you got that for $200, even 200 US, got like a $40 optic mount and like a really cheap, like $30 red dot, you could have yourself a really accurate 22, which I think is pretty cool. Now, I put it back on, just do the same process in reverse. There you go. Got yourself a Norinco Olympia. So that is the Norinco Olympia. I have a short of me shooting it that you can check out probably tomorrow. I'm not going to post it today. I'll probably post it tomorrow. Shooting at some steel targets. And also, in that video, you'll see it was snowing. So this didn't help either. So if it's snowing where you are, maybe don't use white nail polish. It doesn't snow here very often. Maybe use like a bright red or something. Or pink, I don't know. But keep that in mind if that's something that you want to do with it. But yeah, I'll have a video on the WK-181 new handguard and muzzle device. And that'll come out sometime next week, maybe Thursday or Friday. But until then, have a good day, evening, morning. Subscribe for more firearm content.